Creepy Devil be like, let me be clear here. Ah, ah, ah. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. It's Sunday night, and you know what that means. We're going to be looking at some Phobies viewer games, and we have a whole lot on deck. As usual, everybody's been super excited about the 1-year anniversary. We'll see if we get any more new Phobies causing a stir, but let's jump in. Quick aside, everybody, before we get into the actual content, I was accepted into the Phobies Content Affiliate Program, the content creator program, you might call it. Shout out to the Phobies team, and thank you for that. But the reason I'm telling you, everybody out there, dear viewer, dear listener, is to let everybody know that I do receive some compensation from the Phobies team as a result of being part of that program. Now, I loved Phobies before, and I still love Phobies now, and I expect I will still continue to love Phobies in the future. So look forward to more Phobies content coming from Random's Thoughts. So now, on with the show. So to start the night off, we're jumping into Vile Vortis Dark Soul 1, our hero here. No game notes, but also notably no game favorites. So if you want to submit games, hit up the links in the description. You, of course, check out the live stream there as well. Down by the like and subscribe button. Just saying. But if you're going to submit games, it does help to favorite the games so that way they don't fall off your profile in the event that we get a big backlog, or, you know, it also just makes it easier to find. But in the meantime, we're actually getting a unique opener here from our hero, Dark Soul. Gravedigger to break this bottom block on Vile Vortis. This is a new one. I don't think I've ever seen anybody try this. I don't think I've seen anybody try this at this point in time. But we're getting a bunch of weird stuff out of both players. I mean, I don't remember exactly what level Dark Soul is at, stress level we're talking about, or their opponent for that matter, but presumably this is fairly low. Normally on this map, this map, you could argue, is solved as an opener. Basically, everybody goes combination of Snowball, One Drop, Cassowary. Whether you're going first or second, it almost doesn't matter. So as a result, people end up beelining for the center, going first, sending their other one drop roughly where this baby Snakey is. Snowball, like I said, taking the center. The second player, Snowball and Cassowary, will position in order to threaten this top point so that first player can't just immediately get out to a 3-1 or 3-0 panic point advantage. And yeah, that's kind of where we go. But instead, we're getting a very eclectic mix. Chat's confirming Dark Soul is level 29, so that does explain its stress level-wise. I don't know that I necessarily like this Gravedigger going across. Yes, there isn't an enormous amount of damage coming out of this jar. After all, this is a level 6 jar. We're not talking huge damage deluge, but here's the thing. This is damage this thing doesn't need to take. It's not going to die. It's going to obviously live. It has the... What? Why did this Tickles come down here? Like, I was going to explain the technicalities and how this Gravedigger was going to take unnecessary damage and all this. Like, the hell is this Tickles doing? My guy, you're about to have a very bad day. The only thing I could think here, is that this was a bait for Dark Souls, so that, like, oh, I'm going to pin your Gravedigger there because you're going to want to kill the Tickles, and then I'm going to... First of all, I mean, the high five is weird enough, but then, like, I don't know about Primate getting all up on this jar here with 7 keys. There are a few moves in this game that just feel like neither player respects the potential from the other player of just like, yeah, I'm just going to poop out a bunch of damage and, you know, kill you. So, thanks to Rambolina, which just hit the gas and floored it to this top corner, Dark Soul is under a fair amount of pressure. 4-1 panic point advantage by Bad Guy, but it's a big map. Now, this map is quicker than a lot of people. Wow, this is... Dark Soul, are you, like, doing an all-undead challenge here? What was Dark Souls' early game besides this? What has died? This is literally all undead so far. There are no notes on this game. Is Dark Souls doing like an all undead challenge? I mean, you're certainly playing with the grip of death here in that you're giving your opponent a 5-to-1 panic point advantage. Yeah, the primate lived. I don't know exactly what's happening here other than state of confusion. So I imagine Dark Souls is going to be on the ropes rather quickly if you don't consider them already on the ropes. But they can collect some of these panic points back, at least one. 2, in fact. And this is fairly safe. Yes, you could yoink it, but you're actually going to lose damage as bad guy here on the high 5. Yeah, this was back from the end of March, so it's possible this was from the event. It's possible this was from the event. I don't remember if March 30th was overlapping with the Undead event or not. Undead Dimensional event. Whatever it was called. Which, by the way, if they run at the regularity, should we be getting one this week? Maybe next week? Like, I don't know how regular these events are going to be, which is something that I'm curious about. So what are we missing? Because we had... It was just mechanicals, then it was undead dimensional, so we just need monsters, right? This is a little weird. I mean, this has to be for the event at this point, because we're getting a Blinky, like... You can't go this heavily into undead without... You knew you were doing this going in, right? Otherwise, you'd accidentally spawn something else. But there is, in fact, a high 5 on the heart. It is, in fact, a poisoned high 5 that's already starting at half health. But it is going to leech a bunch of health off of this Miss Moffat. And that's a Grimes. Maybe he doesn't have a dimensional. I don't think that's possible. I think your collection, when you start out, forces you to have, like, at least one of each. Somebody would have to confirm that for me, but... So despite being down panic points, we are getting a beatdown on the heart. This is a... Let's see, this is a level 5... high 5, but this is over 1,000 damage going down on this heart. This will get chewed up rather quickly. And in fact, these 3 phobies are all super high. Okay, so we do get a dimensional. It's not completely undead. We get a Graylien here. Blinky actually retreating. So I'm not going to lie. Okay, I kind of... This makes sense. I was going to say, I kind of get killing the cat, so that way it can't back cap points. But you absolutely want to cap this. You get this 4-to-1 panic point advantage. You have a high 5 on the heart. Fetch and Baby Snaky both represent an enormous damage output that, I mean, yeah, the high 5's beat up, but the other 2 are pretty healthy. So this is going to be challenging for bad guy to take down one way or the other. Now the big question here is high 5 going to relocate or just go for the big 2,000 damage punch on the heart? 59 undead and 1 lonely dimensional, seems like it. I don't quite understand this metabot, but why not? Jill, in fact, the lovely bride, is our last phobie out of our hero. A little big switcher U action happening. A little bit of a switcher U. Unfortunately, the Grimes doesn't die. Normally, I would say that's kind of painful, but I mean... That's over 2k damage right there, or 4k damage, because it's 1, 2... No, 3k, because 2k from the high 5, 1,200 or so from the fetch, and then we got Baby Snaky still blocking things out. I mean, this is a little scary, almost, because it's like, hey, bad guy can clear out all these phobies. Almost. Can't quite do it. But look at all those blue panic points. Yeah, some of them are going the other way. Actually, majority are going the other way. But 2 phobies still alive, even if they didn't die. Or if they did die, rather. I don't think it would matter, because the Graylien could get in there. But GG. Dark Souls stealing it back. Nearly pure undead. Player after my own heart. GG. So here we are with Renamon on the Pyro Abyss. In the orange trunks, your foolish Evo 3.0 really likes standing in one play. I don't know what that means. I mean, we're going to get a Evo 3.0, but I don't follow the rest of it. I don't. One place? Okay. We'll see what happens here. I'm guessing there's either a Dozer or Rusty holding it in place forever, and then ultimately resulting in its doom, which would be ironic because we were talking fairly extensively on Friday about Rusty. My current disdain for Rusty. Ooh. So in an answer to the Cassowary Droney opener, we get Boom Kerbloom? Bold move. Bold move. Ah, that's no problem. Not a problem. So we get a Stairmaster, sure. Stairmaster is interesting because a lot of people just don't like it, which I don't really agree with. Stairmaster's not spectacular, but I don't hate Stairmaster nearly as much as seemingly everyone else does. So we get the retreat here from the Kerbloom. I'm very curious about this opener just because one of the explosive phobies seems reasonable. It's like, all right, it caps a point. But the second one is really strange, especially this early in the game with no setup, no wall to protect it, that sort of thing. Pyro Abyss was in the rotation when the mech event was happening, which may explain this opener. Fair. Fair. So that Noxious has a pretty decent set of targets here. Is this a dead Cassowary? If it is, bad guy is going to feel real bad about this. It's not. So the Kerbloom can obviously just die. Like, there's a chance it just dies. This is 5, 15, 5, 10, 15, 21. This is dead Noxious if they want it. In fact, wait, 5, 10. They can kill both of these, the Noxious and the Kerbloom. Now, whatever goes up here, well, the Quagmire would be here, and then it can't even get hit by boom. I don't know about this play. We'll have to see what Renamon's follow-up is, because this doesn't look all that appetizing right now. I mean, I guess maybe the thought is they will lose the Stairmaster on the set of counterattacks. It depends on whether they have a Muffin. Because, see, like, right here, it's now going to get double hit by... Ooh, interesting. So they're not going for the Kerbloom, electing instead to eliminate the Droney. This was just an error by Bad Guy. Bad Guy could have healed this Stairmaster, and now it's likely dying. Oof. But we do get, I presume, the jar play. Could be a snowball. It's in fact a jar. Pop. Pop goes the Stairmaster. Hashtag got him. 558, so it will tank a hit from this Quagmire. Bad Guy just did not, like, they literally just had to heal it. I guess I don't know if this was an error like, oh, I was running out of time and I could have Clinicoed first and I would have, but I screwed it up. Or was this an error, Bad Guy just straight up didn't see the jar play coming? Either one is possible. Notably, because I didn't call it out, the Kerbloom just detonated on the stem to hit the heart, which I guess, sure? Please tell me this is a dead foul. I'm going to laugh my ass off. Okay, it's not a dead foul, because you probably would have needed all that damage to get it. Foul doesn't seem logical here. I will chalk it up to the event. Maybe? I don't know. We were mentioning earlier that this was the mech event. This game is from the 30th. Which would have been we're assuming the dimensional undead event. This is now, this has to be a dead foul. There's just no world in which this is not a dead foul. Lol. The irony of the cat killing the bird. I don't know, is that really irony? I don't know if that counts as irony. Check the level of the foul. It's a level 13 foul. Methinks bad guy is not simply just testing it. I don't think, even if you're in a scenario, would irony be the opposite? Probably. That irony can be pretty ironic. I don't think bad guy was testing this. Plus, even if you were, is Gravedigger really what you want to test it against? You know what I mean? It just doesn't seem valuable. You know, if you're going to pop foul and be like, oh, I want to test this phobia out, you probably want to do it against, you know, boss or some big undead or, you know, a beauty or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't seem to make sense logically to pop it out against Gravedigger. And we get the Doughboy! There he is! Somebody's gonna get, like, vertigo from me doing that, so my bad. By the way, there's a fire ant, in case people didn't notice. Fire ant had snuck up here. No idea where the traps are. We'll find out. Boo Fairy is the answer. I don't know about that one. We got a level 9 Dozer going up against a level 9 Hevo. Panic Point Advantage Hero. They probably should have a heart health advantage, but we'll see. Oh, we get the puke on the Quagmire. I have no idea why you just did that. I have literally, like, why did you just do that? To block this from coming over here and powering it down? Chat saying to block the Boo Fairy debuff? That's what I was thinking, but, like, are you sure? I mean, I don't think that the Boo Fairy was worth it anyway, but my bigger concern would be this. I guess given the chunk of, well, all that is Dozer, it doesn't matter that much. I mean, I guess I don't hate the block here, because, like, yeah, it means that they incinerated 6 keys. But let's be real, didn't they incinerate 6 keys anyway by putting Boo Fairy on the board full stop? I know it would be in range of, or the lava, yeah, like, but I agree with Master Dark, like, you'd be able to pummel it with Jar anyway. So I wonder if it would be better to bait it to come in and then, well, maybe not, because then you lose the damage here. Like, I guess it's fine zoning it out. I do appreciate this, because this is something I've talked about on other streams a little bit. But I do want to experiment with the idea. I have to remember, the next time I see a boss, or I guess a Hevo also, this is dangerous. With the Jar here. I want to try and woolly bully them, and see how much of a difference it makes. Alright, Boo Fairy is beating up its debuff counterpart. By the way, nobody has keys left. Yeah, that's exactly what I was pointing out, Master Dark. That it allowed the Hevo to beat up on the Dozer. But, given how much health the Dozer has, and the fact that this thing is on the stem, like... yeah. Bad guy's kind of getting beat up here. Not making great use. I mean, I'll be honest. I think the Boo Fairy kind of did them in just the fact that it even existed in this game. I don't know what to say other than that. But it's now a powered down Hevo 3.0, going after a Dozer that's on a healing spot. See how many turns that Hevo stood there? I mean, you're not wrong. The thing is that Hevo was not, I think, in a bad position. The big issue is, like I said, the Boo Fairy and then not respecting this, this Fire Ant. Just never dealing with it. Fire Ant does not have a lot of base damage, and it's doing 748 here. That's a pretty significant clock. Plus, this entire time, I'm sure there's traps somewhere, but who knows where. Evo's doing its worst, but its worst is not good enough. The Doughboy reigns supreme. At this point, it looks like he surrendered. Yeah, I mean... They were dead several turns ago, because the bodies just started evaporating. Fire Ant is not designed, thankfully, to have a good attack. Yes. Fire Ant would be pretty unfortunate if it did. Be pretty unfortunate if it did. Unfortunate for everybody who doesn't have Fire Ant, that is. But yeah, aside from the block play, which I guess is fine. I think I personally, and maybe this would have been worse, I personally would have tried to bait the Boo Fairy to come in and then just blow it up. Because then it would have been in range of even regular, like if it stood here, it would have been in range of regular range units. You don't even necessarily need a snowball or something. That being said, you would have had the Dozer powered down, you wouldn't have gotten the beats onto Quagmire. Maybe it doesn't work out for you anyway. But GG, well played there, Renamon. Well done. Fire Ant is 400 base attack. That's average, though. Well, as we talked about, obviously the fire doesn't stack. Additionally, it's a 7 key. So, like, is that average for a 7 key? Probably not. I'd have to go back and look, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say not. Here we are on Billy's Room, a map that is the bane of my existence. I'm not going to lie, Chad. I really hate this map, but I don't know that it's a bad map. I think I'm just bad at it. But my issues aside, our hero here is Urkevina in the orange trunks. Chuck is fun. Let's see what happens. Can swap my games around? I didn't see that until now. Womp womp. Yeah, lobbing AoE traps with Fire Ant is a significant deal. It's a big deal. It's funny, I don't really see Fire Ant that much, but I wonder if that's just a function of there's so many things competing for slots. You know what I mean? Like, you can only address or only field so many things, respond to so many things, address so many things. This is one of the downsides of the early Bachelor. I mean, I guess you get the trade here and you'll end up with even panic points after this. Fire Ant seems insane. I'd spam it every game if I had it. I feel like it is, but I guess a lot of people disagree. So we'll see what Urk does here. But they could have, they're banking. They could have spawned a jar, killed this, and then taken the point. Instead, they've elected to take this center point with Stabby, which means that it's taking a beating. We get a body block from Daisy here. Honestly, I think I might have left the Snowball to pull the Stabby in. Like, what do you think, Chad? Would you trade Snowball for Stabby on this map? I feel as though it's worth it. But I'm also really bad at this map. Like, I just don't play this map very well, so. But out of Urk, we get not the usual alien that we see. Not the usual alien we typically see, Graylien, but instead it's Bluelian here. Bluelian powering up, juicing up our friend Stabby here. You trade out Snowball for Stabby on any map? I think that's reasonable. I think there's an argument, say, on like a big map where you typically wouldn't see Stabby anyway, but on a big map you'd want the mobility or value it more. But if your opponent put Stabby on the board, they probably had to commit a lot of tempo in order to allow the Stabby to, you know, manifest and do its thing. So as a result, by killing it, even if you're sacrificing your higher mobility Phobie, you could possibly just cut them off at the, like, they've sunk so much energy into trying to advance a Stabby, you just blow it up, and it's like, all right, well, your turn was wasted while I was able to move around the map with my Snowball prior. I don't know. Regardless, Debate aside about this, we get an erratic as the 5th phobie out of bad guy. I don't really agree with this, and it gives Urk time to bank up to 9 keys, which, you know, we were kind of expecting a Chuck to show up, so I could see it. 30 turns on this game. I don't know how, but we're barely a third of the way in. Bad guy does happen to have a 1 key on the board to replace this Contortio, which is a little obnoxious, but, I mean, it is what it is. So here comes the big boy. Chuck is on the board, in the house, whatever you prefer. We're clearly going to get a takedown here. And then a replacement. Now, bad guy has 6 keys remaining, so what is their answer to Chuck? Because this isn't a... oh yeah, I've taken control of the entire board, I have Chuck. Like, bad guy's not in a terrible position, I don't think. Depending on what they respond with. The issue is, a lot of this team, you're not representing a ton of damage. So, even though Chuck is not super tanky, you're not necessarily getting a ton of hits onto the Chuck. You know, it's going to be 1 from each of these. So that's not going to kill the Chuck, and then the counterattack from our hero is just going to wipe out your forces. Did someone do a meme for the contest? I've seen a few of the memes. Some of them are okay. I'm not super enthusiastic about most of them that I've seen so far, but I haven't seen a whole lot. I'm curious what the community comes up with. So I don't know, bad guy here is baiting something, but like... yeah, I don't think this is how you respond. I think they need to get up on the Chuck, but here's the thing. Even if you kill the Chuck somehow, like assume that instead of Tickles, they spawn whatever, and they dive the Chuck, and they kill the Chuck. The rest of the team that Urk has is fairly sturdy. Like, Bluelian has a lot of health. It's also now on a healing spot. Stabby obviously has a lot of health, and because it was on the spot, healed up. There's... a few turns ago when I was saying, is Urk in the position that Chuck just takes over the game? And I felt like it was kind of up in the air, depending on what, like I said, what bad guy's response is. And in this case, the response just seems lacking. You know, like, this is not how you can defeat a Chuck. That's fair, Master Dark. Did you see the Pokemon meme that I posted in Discord the other day? You should check out the Monster Tamers channel. I think that's where I posted it. I think you'd appreciate it then. So we get Hevo as the answer, and once again, that leaves much to be desired. This might even be a dead erratic here. And if it is, like, that's just the end of bad guy, right? Like, there's just no answering this. Yeah, it's just dead. Ball game. Realistically, this game, I think, was over when bad guy didn't commit. So here's the question. Was I underselling Urk with the Chuck play or overselling bad guy's chances? Because this just felt like stifling. It really seems and appears to be hopeless for bad guy at this stage. Even as of several turns ago, and I could almost feel the frustration from them being confused about, like, well, what do I do here? French meme he made is so accurate. Oh, I didn't make it. I found that meme somewhere else. If anybody's curious what it is, well, hit up the Random Sluts Discord. Like I said, it's a Pokemon meme. Referencing the French Revolution, which my wife I mentioned before, she knows French. She's a huge history buff, including a lot of stuff in France, so she appreciated that one. And then there were 3, or 2, depending on which side of the board you were looking at. But this was very well played, Urk. Chuck is very strong. It's funny, there's a debate about buffing Chuck going on right now, chat. And I'm not joking. Somebody made a thread saying Chuck is not good enough. We should buff it. And I'm reading it and just thinking, are you sure? We get the classic Urk BM healing spa. And Chuck pulverizes Jar. GG. Showing the Jar who the true 3-ranger is around here. Until Inoculus shows up and comes out like 3 turns earlier. But GG. We go from Billy's room to a different Billy's room. Morbid Fates, our hero. Both heroes have spawned in the orange trunks. All fall before Sucky's might. We need to make a flag with Sucky on it. And Morbid can fly that flag every time that they... That would actually be a cool timeout. We've talked a lot about cosmetics. And I see some other stuff that maybe we'll talk about in chat too. But we talked a lot about cosmetics and heart cosmetics and stuff. How funny would it be to have like a flag? And then it could like pop up at the beginning of the game and then like wave the Sucky flag. And then the flag disappears. Or even if it's just like the flag is flying the whole time behind the heart. Like, that would be cool, right? That would be pretty cool. Anyway, we'll talk about the game and then maybe come back to the other stuff. So, yes, we do in fact get yet another Sucky opener. Morbid carrying the Sucky flag, as we said. The rest of this is, like, I don't understand Bad Guy's opener. Every time I see a weird opener, I have to question, like, is this practiced? Is this something that they're doing explicitly because, especially when you go first, right? If you go 1-key bank, you clearly have something in mind, right? You don't just do that by accident. I mean, I'm sure it happens, but, like... It feels like something, yeah, I knew I was going to do this going into the game. This feels like you didn't want to do this going into the game. Big damage, big boy numbers going down onto this Jin Sting. It's immediately rethinking its entire life. It's got to take a moment to meditate here. It's not going to take time to... Oh, Bees was on cooldown. Now, to be honest, okay, they're backing it up with a muffin. I was going to say, if you leave this exposed, and I'm Morbid, you probably come after this. If you can get it with just the Cassery. If you have to commit other things, then maybe not, but... So, Sucky, please tell me Sucky ends up on the stim and just goes to town on the heart. And we get Sucky instead of Misanthrope. Honest to God, chat, that would be hilarious. That would be absolutely fantastic. Now you play a Poison Phobia since you use the muffin. I mean, that's a good point. Trying to keep that in mind, like those sort of... It's those little details, but I hope... I mean, I hope to. I really... Oh, no. Wait. Okay, if this goes down here and leaps, it will end up on the... No, don't do it from there. Oh, he leaped to the heart? Chat, it's happening. And here's the crazy part. Like, this is getting backed up here. There's an Inoculus coming through. I don't know about putting the Stabby here. Like, the Stabby probably should be inching this way. Like, it's now a turn away. I don't... Well, yeah, I guess Bad Guy had to back off here because... Is this live? Fireball is up. This is potentially a lot of damage coming in. You know, you got the Gonzo, you got the Stabby. Panic Point Advantage is going blue. Getting the body block here, but here's the thing. Kablamo, and that Jin Sting is toast anyway. Like, Bad Guy. I think you just didn't think this one through. They're like, oh, well, they can only get it with the Sucky. What happens if they just walk off the stim and let something else have the stim? Got bad news for you, Bad Guy. And all of a sudden, it's not letting me click on the Phobies. It only has 1,400 health. Remember, this is a level 11 Sucky, so not a... I mean, it's a lot for a 2-key, but not a ton. But this is a lot of damage threatening this heart. Can you not just kill... Did they burn their jar? So I guess they didn't want to use the jar, but like this could have moved here, killed and hit the Inoculus, then jar finishes it off because it can hit from here. And then you have the stabby in position to defend the stim because remember, this is on cooldown, the fireball. Sucky can't get there. I mean, it could, hypothetically. This runs away. And you have 6 keys, so, like... I don't... Yeah, you don't need to kill this cassowary. Looks like Gonzo has a shield. Maybe a early candidate for the, thumbnail. So we do get the Sucky going down. So this was less Sucky and more Snowball lighting up the heart alongside Inoculus, I guess. Stairmaster backing up the team. Yeah, this game is over. This game is over. When you get to this level of invade on this map, which is not how I usually lose this map, I usually just get clobbered. But this is difficult to escape from, right? Like, this Gravedigger is way too late. It's actually only helping our hero here. Not literally only helping, but I think it's more of a boon to our hero because now that stabby, unless it somehow dies here. Oh, the stabby does die, but it doesn't matter. Got him. Well done, Morbid. Sucky leading the charge, taking the W. GG. We actually have... This is shocking, chat. We had that 30-turn game, and a lot of these games have been much quicker compared to what we've been getting as of late. So right now, our hero is Redwick. It's usually preferable to attract people, but pushing them away at the same time can work too. I sincerely hope we get a Repeller game, because I was crapping on Rusty and Repeller a lot on Friday. Partially because I was in a bad mood, because I was on a losing streak, but also because I'm not a huge fan of those Phobies. But we'll see what happens here on Hold Still, which you'll have to let me know, chat. Were you out there on YouTube? Let me know down in the comments. How do you feel about this map? Because I like this map. Like, I think I like this map. As in, I would put it in probably high tier 2 for maps. So I was talking about it a little bit on Friday's stream, but I've been working on my map tier list, and the vast majority of maps for me are just okay. They're more or less interchangeable. I don't really think that it's a big deal one way or the other for most maps. They're fine. They're playable. I'll play on them. There's some that I absolutely abhor, and there's some that I would love to play on them all the time. I think I have this map at high tier 2, I would say. I mean, right now I only have it broken up by tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So it's like right in the middle. Trending towards the high end. I like this map, you know. Hold Still is more like delete from the game still. Really? I wonder if my own lack of disdain for this map is because people still open with dronies. I don't know what level this is at, but I have a feeling that it's due to low stress level kind of thing. But Bad Guy does, we can find out right now. Bad Guy does in fact have a Hematic Gin Sting. Level 8? Game, come on. Why does it do this? Yeah, so level 8 so far has been the highest level Phobie. That's probably under Snowball level. Wait, what? What are you talking about, Master Dark? Hold Still is a map where you have to hold still. I like this map. I don't know. I feel like the issue I think a lot of people would have with this map is that it is very decisive, where like a singular move due to, you know, you build up these forces, one person invades, and then that decides the game, because either player A, the defensive player, was out of position, or player B dove and miscalculated and gets punished hard for it. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of back and forth on this map. But speaking of back and forth, get one of those. We also get a Gravedigger break, which I promise you, bad guy, didn't see coming. Getting the stair. We got a few Stairmasters tonight. And we also get a dead Sparky. Bad guy cannot be happy about that. Panic point advantage orange, though. But that was a significant key investment that... I mean, that just sucks if you're on the wrong end of that. Never mind, I forgot I have a tractor now. This map might be fine the next time it gets some rotation. Fair. So we get a Moffat to try and counter here. Everybody by now has to know my opinion on sheep. I'm not sold. Now, despite that elimination, our hero still needs to reclaim parts of the map. Still needs to make something happen. But they're in a pretty decent position in order to facilitate that. Now, we get a Slammerhead. Here we go. You like sheep? I don't remember the last successful sheep I saw. I like to call them out, and I know there was one relatively recently, but generally sheep has been trash. Wait a second, come on. Bad guy, did you walk into this? Oh my god. Chat, like... This is bad. I don't know if bad guy just didn't see this or what, but wait, what? Okay. I kind of get it. This is pretty cool. Alright, I can accept that. That works. That's probably a better pull. That's probably a better pull. I was so focused on the Jin Sting, but it's probably a better pull. Not just from a key perspective, but also, like, the Moffat being off the table is a big deal. Because their pull is now gone. And, yeah, bad guy just scoops it up here. That was a pretty solid turn there, Redwick. Well played. Sheep and Paddles and Akira seems good. Very strong in Sheep Poison. Yeah, but Poison's bad. I mean, it's not bad, but it's worse, right? Most of the time, like, I don't know, even in that scenario, wouldn't you... You could replace Paddles and Sheep with quote-unquote real Phobies and then just kill their stuff instead of displacing it and then poisoning it and leaving it alive to retaliate. You know what I mean? I mean, given the Akira pull, the assumption here is that you're getting a big AoE hit, but I don't know, it just feels like a lot of effort when you could just kill them instead. Like, you could have gone kaboom, and then just, alright, all their stuff is just dead. I don't know. But GG here, Redwick. Biff's Room. Virus. Have we watched a Virus game recently? I don't think we have. I feel like it's returning. The returning hero, Virus in the orange trunks. Who said Doom Doom was bad? This guy. I've got two thumbs, and I said Doom Doom was bad. I think most people said Doom Doom was bad, because Doom Doom... I really hope this game gives me a reason to be enthusiastic about Doom Doom, because for the most part, it's just like, I could do everything Doom Doom can do with 1 keys. And those 1 keys probably going to be more valuable, is what it feels like most of the time. But we'll see how it works out here. We get the classic stabby opener from our hero, a more unorthodox opener from our bad guy. Notably, Gravedigger not breaking initially, so it's going for a more delayed Or possibly the block here. Ruh-roh. So I expect this Gravedigger is just going to block the Stabby out. Yep, bad guy does it. So this is going to be frustrating. I mean, you can beat up the Gravedigger a little bit, so that way it's not going to be as useful later on. It will definitely be one and done from any dive perspective. And the Stabby can make relatively quick work of that statue. But we'll see. We'll see. So Bow Mangles is the follow-up from our hero. Makes sense. It will hold down that bottom panic point to a degree. We'll see if bad guy commits a phobie. Yep. They are going to sacrifice the cat. Now, Jeeves is the follow-up and probably the precursor, as you'd imagine, to our hero's Doom Doom. So as you can see, while this Gravedigger block was cute, it is going to be relatively short-lived. I do like this with the reposition here with a jar. So that way it can swing in and try and attack from a different angle if needed. Plus, it allows for the Bow Mangles to continue to advance so it doesn't have to spend another turn walking up. And the cat follow-up gives us both potential for that Doom Doom, as well as a recap down here stemming the bleeding. A not insignificant chunk of damage down on our hero's heart, but nothing insurmountable, of course. And there is the Doom Doom shown off by eliminating that statue. Yeah, double trapper. Double trapper here. Now, we've seen several Doom Dooms into multiple trappers, and that's the thing, is that in a lot of these cases, the Doom Doom is just in a position where going in and trying to shoot... Oh, my God. It happens twice. What I was going to say is that the Doom Doom basically gets overwhelmed by the traps. There's just too many. So the initial play by Virus made sense with the Doom Doom coming over in order to help eliminate the statue, clear out that Contortio with the Stabby, but of course, the cooldown on Gravedigger was just up, so we get the replacement on the block. The odd thing here is this is the first Jeeves trap we're seeing. And our hero should know that, independent of Doom Doom. I should play Trappers again since I bring Baba Ha top MVP level 3, so I stopped playing it. Fair. Yeah, so this is a problem from bad guy. Only 2 traps on the board, so not an overwhelming amount. And you back off, so you can't even... Like, let's assume that the Bow Mangles walked onto the ice trap. I don't know why that would happen, but, like, even if it did, you can't capitalize on it. You have nothing in range. You've walked your entire team away. And while the Gravedigger blocks are cute, it almost would have been better in order to break this block or something, so that way you could position differently. Instead, we're getting... Like, Jeeves is just a regular phobie at this stage, it would appear. He wants to overwhelm the Doom Doom, but it's not really efficient in a small map. It's more efficient in big map than with 2 little fights. I don't know about that. Like, it depends on how early they came down. Like, the Jeeves could have had 2 more traps on the board probably by this point, but instead, and maybe not incorrectly, but instead it's been engaging in combat so much that it has yet to... I mean, it played the 1 trap, and that was it. Since people are inevitably going to ask, what level is this Doom Doom? This is a level 11 Doom Doom. I might, like, Doom Doom might be the thumbnail for this video, because, like, how often do you get a good Doom Doom set, right? And you even get the cringing Steves here. Doom Doom is chunky as Evo. Yeah, Doom Doom's pretty tanky. Doom Doom's pretty tanky. Do get the takedown on Bo there. The third block. At this point, I don't know that I would have sent Cyclops here. Like, the Stabby is just never getting engaged. Send the Cyclops down here. 3 keys left for our hero. 0 for bad guy. And our hero does have to consider the damage to their heart at this point. The bad guy's definitely not out of it. 3 Phobies to their name, Stabby, Hematic Ginsting, and Steve's. You're never going to catch something with the Ice Trap at this point. I also, again, I don't know... Oh, well, the Steve's is beat up. It had to pull back. Otherwise, that statue goes down and then Jeeves dies. Interesting with the Cyclops rotation here. Now, the Gravedigger being dead means no more blocks. Realistically, we're watching the end of bad guy here because they just don't have the quantity of actions that our hero does. Our hero has just more bodies, so they can do more things each turn, and they still have 2 keys. And they also have perfect knowledge of where the traps are. So, Creep is the final phobie. I mean, that poison damage is, in fact, going to be permanent. So here's the thing. You may know where the traps are, but it doesn't matter if they're in a position that will hose you like this. But down the traps. Down the hatch go the traps. Bad guy's just on a full retreat here. Well done there, Virus. Yeah, we did actually get to see a successful Doom Doom game. So here's the real question, chat. Did Doom Doom actually matter? I mean, it mattered, right? But if Doom Doom was any other phobie or any other combination of phobies, would our hero have been able to do the same thing? I think there's a compelling argument that no, they would not have been able to, that Doom Doom was the phobie here. Like, I'm not saying it would have been impossible to win if our hero did not have Doom Doom. Like, say they just didn't have it at all. I was about to say, that's kind of bold, but... Ooh, we get the poison there on Jeeves. I think that Jeeves should have just died, though. Oh, never mind. It wouldn't have died, because I know Creep does more damage on the attack, but... 128 health, it wouldn't have been enough. By the way, that Doom Doom's dimensional, lol, displaces the Ginsting. And just like that, down goes bad guy. We've almost seen it all, chat. All we need is a Repeller and Rusty game where they are the reason that our hero wins, and we've seen it all. GG, well played. So here we are actually on Detention. This game... Whoa, this game goes back a while. Goes back a while. All the way back to early March, even though it was submitted, well, earlier today. But our hero here is TCT in the Orange Trunks. I love Trap Phobies. Everybody seems to be loving Trap Phobies as of late. But we do see an early Wiggy out of Bad Guy. In my initial assessment of Wiggy, I had the wrong numbers in mind. And I was under the impression that Wiggy was going to be much more vulnerable than it actually appears to be. However, I think this Wiggy is still fairly vulnerable. It's probably not going to die. Oh, no, this was in range. All right, so yeah, this just dies. I thought the cat was one space over. In fact, it is not. Down goes Wiggy. 2-to-1 panic point advantage at the end of the day for bad guy, and an in-range jar. It won't stay there, but, you know. So you're going to trade cats? Like, I guess, sure. I don't know about this one. This seems kind of weird. Detention's another map that I feel like I like, chat. I think this map is okay. I do wonder overall, I'm trying to analyze my own assessment of maps and whether I feel so it being a good or bad map is independent of whether I like it, but I'm trying to figure out, do I like maps or dislike maps? And how much is it based on how long we've had the map? Like, am I just tired of playing this map? You know what I mean? So we get Venus and Poison Ivy paired up together. I feel like we just don't, even out of people that like trap games and like trap phobies, it feels like Venus is just not as common as the other ones. I mean, Unicorn gets used all the time, right? But Venus and Baba Yaga seem to show up with much more regularity than Poison Ivy. Even Fire Ant, I feel like, appears more. But since our hero is player 2, we don't know when the traps are going down, although I imagine a couple of them went down this turn. The bad guy has a bow mangles all the way up on our hero's heart. That's actually going to be somewhat of a challenge to dislodge. Until you have this Klepto. Tickles, of course, is bad guy's answer to the traps. 5 keys banked up, 8 total remaining versus 7 for our hero. And we get an invade on our hero's stabby. This is kind of bold. Did bad guy just not account for the opportunity that there's a trap under the bow? Or I guess a stabby in this case. So after that turn, I mean, you get this juicy hit from Klepto. You get double hits from Venus here. Well, single hit, it looks like. There goes Bo. I mean, completely unsurprisingly. And what's funny here is this Venus is not completely safe. But with 2200 health, it's going to take a significant amount of effort to actually kill this thing. You can't just trivially remove this from the board. So it ultimately does bite the dust, but required all 6 attacks, and now we get a Yeti? All of the remaining keys get sunk into Yeti. I know a lot of people don't have access to this yet, but Yeti is another phobie that seems to surprise me a little bit with how little it gets used. Down goes Stabby, and the systematic elimination of our blue player's forces has begun. All the keys getting sunk into Boomer and Cassowary. Yeti Spaghetti, are you ready? Like, what are we putting Yeti through a strainer? Like, what's happening here? Wow, the double trap hit. Feels bad, man. Feels bad, man. Down goes the potato. Soon to be Yeti. That'll do it. That will do it. Jar versus the world. Just like a game we watched on Home Sweet Home. Was it Home Sweet Home? That's not it. Billy's Room? Yeah, Billy's Room, right? On Billy's Room, Jar versus the world probably not going to work out. GG. Well played, TCT. Well played. I'll be honest, offline, I've been playing a bunch of trap games as well. trying to force early trappers just to try it out. It's interesting. It's interesting. Here we go, another throwback. We're here on Opticon with Master Dark, our hero, in the blue trunks. A longer-ish game, 25 turns. Baby Snaky is the second MVP. Well, we get a very early Baby Snaky, so we'll have to see how important this is. I remember talking a lot about Baby Snaky early on in my Phobies career, because it felt like it was going to be way more defining than I thought it was going to be. And it's just not. Not gonna lie, Opticon might be one of my favorite games. I assume you mean maps, but... So, here's the question. How do you feel about Vile Vortiz? Opticon is a very good map to me. I feel like a lot of the maps are very polarizing. Because there were a ton of people who were like, Opticon's a terrible map, so is Vile Vortiz. But then they might be okay with the big house. Which I'm curious if we're going to get another... So we have Vile Vortiz and we have Opticon as big maps with this tons of alternating obstacles all over the place, right? So the question is, will we get another small map with alternating obstacles like Big House? Here's the more interesting point, chat. What if all of these obstacles... Whoop. I accidentally rewound a turn. What if all of these obstacles were lava tiles instead? I used to hate Vile Vortiz, but now with the 3 rangers and new lobbers seems pretty fun. I just don't like how accessible the spas are. Accessible spas definitely change things. So we get array chargels to answer some of the big phobies coming out from Bad Guy. Master Dark is in chat indicating this was during the event, so yeah, that... I mean, other than Baby Snaky... Well, I guess if you mean the undead event, then maybe Baby Snaky makes sense there, but all this other stuff seems normal. But we do get a takedown here on our hero's Evo. This has got to be a counter kill on the Evo, and I don't even think it's going to be close. And that's almost 1,000 damage there. Another 850 almost. And then pew, 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 we get more lasers. So it is possible for this Baby Snaky to die, but then Bad Guy would have to commit in order to do that, and I don't... They end up losing more. Alright, they're going in. I take it back, they're going in. Got him. You got the Jin Sting. Here's the thing. Can you... So obviously that dies. So I don't necessarily agree with this. I think you would have been better off killing the snowball with the Baby Snaky and then getting displaced to here to then eat it rather than taking damage here. Plus, you then could have put the ray onto this spot and split the damage differently. Like, am I missing something? That should have worked. But regardless, we are trading out a bunch of phobies down here. 4 to 2 panic point advantage, rather, for Bad Guy. The Bad Guy is just letting this Baby Snaky run wild. The Macho Man, Randy Snaky. Actually, run wild is Hulkamania, but whatever. I'm not really... I mean, I don't really follow... Like, when was the last time I watched pro wrestling? Probably when those guys were actually still at their peak. It's been a long time, Chad. I'm not really a wrestling person. So panic points are finally stabilized. 3 to 3 here. A little over halfway through the game. Remember the Snaky is here since the beginning? I mean, yeah. The Snaky has been a terror. Bad guy has just ignored it. Has shown no respect whatsoever to the walking staple remover. Slithering staple remover. And Smother Mother is the final phobie from our hero. Level 7 Smother Mother. Still very threatening. Still very threatening. 8 keys remaining for Bad Guy, which is also somewhat threatening. That Baby Snaky is bonkers. It's putting in work. Baby Snaky is put in work. I don't necessarily disagree with Bad Guy prioritizing other stuff. But at the same time, it's kind of like, maybe just don't dick around and be in those situations. But at this stage, Sheep and Stabby were the responses from Bad Guy, which okay. Ugh. As I said earlier, chat, I got hit with a wave of exhaustion. Did they just sacrifice the Cyclops? What is happening here? Like, why did this happen? I don't... Okay. Sheep is actually a decent pick. Master can't heal. To a degree. Even in this scenario, it just... Like, if you said Creep was a good thing, maybe. Because Creep can, at range, apply that poison or a Noxious or something like that. The problem I have with Sheep is, yeah, they can't heal it off. It may never actually matter. Like, they can tank a Sheep hit, and who cares? Now, admittedly, at this point, you know, you lost the Cyclops. You just lost the Stairmaster. You just lost the Jar, so yes. Obviously, it didn't matter what 2 phobies were left almost. It was irrelevant. But, at the same time, it's kind of like... I just don't think you're ever going to get a good Sheep hit. You'd have to assume that your opponent makes a really big error. And I mean, if that's the case, then just about any phobia would work. Baby Snaky is still alive since the beginning of the game. How often can you say that about, like, any phobia? Smother Mother just slapping the snot out of the Sheep. Did Master Dark attack twice with Baby Snaky? I feel like only got him 1 attack. Not like it particularly matters, but... Down goes Bad Guy. GG. Well played, Master Dark. Well played. Let's get into it since we're laughing about other nonsense. We're circling back. Renamon with another game submission here. Speaking of the Big House, since we were talking about that earlier. I don't think phobies are a good resource to throw away so willingly. Why throw away your life so recklessly? I should be asking you the same thing, Megatron. Shout out to my Transformers fans. Not actually exactly the quote, but my brain isn't functioning because I'm so tired right now, so we'll see what happens here. Renamon with the presumably event-driven opener here. Where's this game from? 327. Boop. 1 key for 2 keys. I don't really understand Bad Guy's opener with the droney at all. Okay, we get her Bloom once again. That would be funny, Urk. Oh, that's fair, Monochrome. Like, I'm just laughing about it. It's fine. It's just fine. Do we get a Finnegan, chat? What the hell is going on in this game? We had some mostly normal games tonight. You know, we had some cool plays, but it was mostly normal, right? And then now we're getting a little wackier with the Finnegan. I mean, aside from the Boom and Kerbaloom blowing up a lot of keys. And we get a rather late Gravedigger, a turn 3 Gravedigger. Is that... Is that what you want here? I mean, I guess it's fine. Boop. Temptress? Question mark? I don't know about this one. I don't know, chat. Is this dead Finnegan? Wow. I guess I shouldn't be surprised given Gravedigger and K9 could connect with it, which they both can put out a decent amount of damage. The bad guy is just, yeah, I agree with our hero's notes here. Throwing Phobies away like this, just heaving them into the meat grinder is not really the nicest thing that you can do to your Phobies. You gotta be nicer to your Phobies rather than just face first into the wood chipper. No. No. Probably use that as the opening clip. This has got to be a dead Temptress, too. Yep. I mean, don't get me wrong, our hero's taken some losses as well, but 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 2, 4, 6. Our hero has a decent lead here as far as Phobie score goes. And yet another Phobie goes down. I mean, Panic Point advantage was briefly in favor of our bad guy. But both players have had the opportunity to bank, oddly enough, given the bloodshed that we've had and how many Phobies have popped out only to immediately meet their end. This is where my headcanon of the Phobies all going out to a bar afterwards to hang out is even funnier. Because they would absolutely be talking about this game and be like, this was the worst job I've ever had. 8 keys remaining for each player, but a clear and distinct Phobie advantage as far as board position goes for our hero. Hevo and Stabby are the final Phobies from Bad Guy. Alligator, the penultimate Phobie. Pretty big and tanky, and it is most likely not going to go down to what we have on the board. Healing 500 a turn, over 500 a level 10 Alligator here. Yeah, Bad Guy, I don't mind the idea of this aggressive strategy, right? So you just get in, you force trades, your opponent maybe panics and they make a mistake. But this is excessive. This is just kind of like, does Bad Guy hate their Phobies? Is that what's happening? Hey, one lived. One of them lived. Oddly enough, the dimensional damage may causes Hevo to die to the fire. Oh, it lives. Never mind. Not like it really matters. This Gator is still almost full health. Four to 1 Panic Point advantage. Realistically, no way for Bad Guy to kill the Gator. I mean, honestly, you could probably park the Gator on the center Panic Point and just say, come at me, bro. Like, they can't do anything. Just bopping the Stabby on the head. Yeah, I don't know. You're going to have to explain it to me, Chad. I don't follow why Bad Guy did this. The only thing I could think is if this was, say, an event game, which they didn't seem to really be playing into either event particularly well. But, like, if they just wanted quick or the quickest possible turnover on games, and they just assume I'm going to win on levels or something like that, I don't know. But it looks like a concession came in, so well played, Renamon. Take it down. GG. So shout out to Dark Soul, because this is actually a loss on Red Rum. Played during the Spawn Spectacular event, Thunder Rocks was the only dimensional or undead I could spawn. That's clearly not true, Dark Soul. You have an undead right here. I'm sure it was more intended towards the end of the game or something like that. But I've been joking about this for a while because we've had a lot of Dark Soul game submissions and we've seen the game in their profile. But Bad Guy here is the economy. Which is up there for me right alongside, like, Jeff as the bad guy. Like, this is unhealthily amusing to me. This is actually hysterical to me. So, we have the bad guy here. But Dark Soul, we'll see how much of a hero this baby Snakey is, but already not off to as strong a start as we saw in that Opticon game. We get a stabby follow-up. I've taken to, over time, just accepting that early stabbies, early bow mangles, excuse me, on this map are, I don't want to say a necessity, but they're very good. They're very good. The early Muffin just kind of feels like a challenge. Like, it's pleading for Dark Soul to do this. To stay in range, to kill it. So that they can counter-kill the Murder Wing. Sheep is the follow-up here. Yeah, I don't think killing that Muffin was worth it. Now, realistically, opening with Baby Snakey presumably was just a concession to the event. But at the same time, still not really worth it. And now this stabby is, excuse me, on an island. Two to 0 panic point advantage, and our bad guy's probably going to be able to bully our hero here. Triple panic point advantage. Big fart. Murder Wing of their own from bad guy. Now our hero banked to 9, so what is the plan here? Nearly halfway through. That's a bad sushi. I don't know about that one, Chief. I don't know about that one. So, I guess this is as good a time as any to have some commentary on the events. I think the events do need to basically require you to go outside your comfort zone and thereby play a bunch of games that are almost, if not completely exclusively undead and dimensional or mechanical, or I'm sure we'll get a monster one next or whatever, right? Like, I don't think you can reasonably make these events as the devs and have them be you just can play normally and you just get stuff. They want to encourage different lines of play, and that's fine. However, this may be going to an extreme. Fetch is suspect. Baby Snakey is the opener is clearly questionable. Bad Sushi is like another level. Bad Sushi, I think, is another level. Now, honestly, I think that these events encouraging people to try these alternate strategies is a good idea. I think it's fine. And it's possible that people will discover hey, I actually like using this phobia or this strategy because in the end, it's still, like, it's good enough, but I would never have discovered it if I wasn't forced to use it, such as in this scenario. And there's the Thunder Rock, so this makes sense in the context of it being, like, the only other thing they had left to spawn. That being said, I mean, I didn't complete this event, but I don't think I would put this much effort into any event. I would just say, hey, all right, I lose. I won't get this one because I'd rather just play the game. I recognize other people will feel differently. The decent thing about Thunder Rocks here, though, is that it will hold this point. So, like, they have to find a way to kill it first. Triple panic point advantage on this map can add up very, very quickly. So Thunder Rocks is fairly tanky. I don't know about this. Wait, come on. No. Just block the stabby out! Oh, no! Not like this! Oh, Dark Soul, just block the stabby! You didn't have to do this, just block the stabby, it can't touch you! Oh, no! That hurts. That hurts. Because if they block the stabby out, there's just no way bad guy wins, right? How is this creep still alive? That's how bad Thunder Rock's non-mechanical attack sucks. Or attacking non-mechanicals, I guess. Oh, no. GG. Yeah, there were a few different things across that game. Like, obviously it was influenced by, and that's why I didn't have a whole lot of commentary on the particular plays, because clearly this was for the event, right? I don't really like the idea of it influencing plays that much, but I think that's just me. I think overall, for the general population, for the game as a whole, it's fine, it's good. But for me, I'm never going to go to the length that Dark Soul did in this game. I'm just not. Unless it's like, oh, I need 2 more games. And it's about to run out. All right, well, I'll play 2 games where I do this. Otherwise, I don't know. Maybe if they made a different async and arena queues and their event exclusive, the game limits you to only what's appropriate for the event. I don't know if it would be good, but you wouldn't have to deal with people breaking the rules, you know what I mean? Yeah, people like me that are just going to play because I want to play. Like, I don't want to screw around with this event. The problem with that is I think the queues for now, all 4 modes, would suck. Like, everybody would be getting like 4 or 5 minute queues. Unless you're logging in at prime time or something, because you just, I don't know. It goes back to the original crux of the problem. In order to do this sort of event, and they could obviously structure the events to be whatever they want. They don't have to be spawn undeads and dimensionals or spawn monsters or whatever. It could be anything. So the question becomes, is it worth influencing people's play patterns? And I think that's what they want. Most games will dump this sort of thing into another queue. I don't know that you can really do that in Phobies. Not necessarily because, oh my god, dead game or something like that, because that's not true. But I think the problem is that the population is on the lower end for that sort of thing. It takes very little to all of a sudden be pairing up people that are in some of all 3 end primals. And something like this, splitting the queues in this way, probably would cause that to happen. And that's going to piss people off just as much as going, or probably more than people going up against someone who doesn't want to participate in the event or already has it done, and therefore they're playing normally, and somebody who's still trying to do the event. It's kind of tough. It's tough to figure it out. Like, as far as valuing which thing is the lesser of two evils. Alright, here we go. Urk once again on the Pyro Abyss. Well, Urk once again, but not on the Pyro Abyss. We had the Pyro Abyss, or whatever. You get what I'm trying to say. Never didn't have it. I don't know what you're talking about. Alright, let's see. Let's see what we got. Sounds like we may have a close game on our hands. We'll see. Urk with a more standard opener, although the Boomer's a little weird. I have been thinking about Boomer a lot offline, chat. Boomer and Raucous with respect to Akira. I just don't... I get they're supposed to... I presume they're supposed to be the answer. But somebody who has Akira is either going to have to play against me a bunch of times and let me test stuff. Be like, alright, let's play a normal game. Make sure you're going to force Akira onto the board. I'm going to force Raucous and Boomer. Because I wonder if... Like, can you... Boomer can cap mid without dying a lot of times on this map, surprisingly. I don't know if I'd say it's surprisingly, because Boomer's pretty tanky, and yeah, that center point is somewhat of an awkward position to try and cap. Boomer, of course, scurries away onto the spa, which is also notable because it lives. It will then survive to come back around again. We get the standoff between mother loads. But yeah, the Akira thing I'm going to have to test and see if Boomer and Raucous are valuable enough against it. I'm curious whether, like, can you use them normally and then say, so it preempts an Akira? Probably not, because the Boomer will just randomly die. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to put a ton of effort into preserving it. You do want to preserve it. That's just a cooked cassowary for no purpose. Not quite a dead droney, but, like, this is some significant damage going down on the mother load. The first salvo. This droney going in, which, I mean, I guess it kind of has to at this point. What else is it going to do? And then we get the mother load retreat, also unsurprising. No good position for bad guy to go for the yoink here, which, I mean, yeah, that makes sense given the invade here. Without the cassowary, a lot of the damage potential went into the grumper. We get the takedown here, and of course, Boomer is alive from earlier in the game. Now, Panic Point Advantage has slid in favor of bad guy, but probably not for very long. Probably not for very long. And we get the counter spider. Now, we've seen a lot of standoffs on this map between attractors and a variety of other yoinks. So we'll see what happens here. The other thing we've seen a lot of has been Mildred. That's just a thing, right? They're also probably good with Akira. What, as far as having Boomer and Raucous as a counter? I mean, the other problem is that ultimately, you can't prevent everything. Even with those two Phobies. Like, if you had both and they were perfectly healthy and they were already out there in time to stop the Akira, which all of those scenarios presume a lot, right? What if your opponent, instead of walking up, walks down and yoinks there? It can still pull your Phobie around them. Oh, you mean, like, utilizing them as the Akira player? Yeah, I could see that. But I think if you're playing Akira, you're probably just imposing your will on your opponent regardless, you know what I mean? Like, you just do things and say, alright, stop me. Because you can't. We're getting a little bit of oddball positioning, actually, talking about the game in question that we're looking at right now. So we get the replace on the center point with Boomer. It's clearly going to die. But we do not have, excuse me, we do not have a whole lot of support So this allows bad guy to move up, but I don't know about this. So the only yoink that could happen is on the gator. 2 dozers? Chat, we've had 2 dozers tonight, both on this map. Is Dozer the second secret tech we're discovering for Pyro Abyss? Because previously it was Mildred, and everybody was like, yeah, Mildred is the answer. Urk seems unwilling to try and advance, of course, risking a yoink from the spider. But we've now had multiple times where bad guy is up 4-1 in the panic point race. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 phobies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 phobies. Erratic from bad guy, sure, I guess. Yeah, I was about to say the spider probably is more important to have up here, but I get the thought. Bad guy, I don't think can profitably yoink the dozer. This is a level 9 dozer, so almost 4k health. Just checking levels real quick. Oh, that's a dead Jin Sting. It's an okay pick by bad guy, because it's like, hey, I get a free Jin Sting, but probably lose this mother load now. That being said, they do have a gator on the stim. Alright, so bad guy's making their push. I can respect this. I can respect this because you have a 4-1 panic point advantage. It's going to be difficult for your opponent. Well, maybe not, because this... they can make it 3-2 by just capping this point. But we get the counter invade. Yep. So clearly Motherlode eats it, and I have to assume that bad guy thought that was going to happen. Get the puke onto the spider. This is a good yoink. That way you can get double hits there with Bluelian. And we get a Finnegan. This is cute. Finnegan is cute. So you could make the argument, because any ranged phobie would... well, not any ranged phobie, but 2-move, 2-range phobie, probably Murder Wing, could target the gator, but... excuse me, you're not going to kill it. 4-1 panic point advantage again. Wow, the Dermic goes aggro. 5-0 panic point advantage. Urk, you are in trouble. 2,500 health on the heart. 1385 on the heart. Snipe in the jar, I think that's worth it. Alright, so we trap the Jin Sting here and also block it out so it doesn't have line of sight here. And at this point, bad guy might be hosed. A little overly aggressive, I guess. Ultimately going to do him in. Now, that being said, it's still a 3-2 panic point advantage. There's still pressure on our hero. But that gator's kind of trapped up here. It can't do anything. It'll get booped if it comes down. Well, it'll get booped onto the lava. It's not going to get booped and die. We do get the escape. Oh, no. Jin Sting isn't trapped because it can walk over the spider. But because of the lava damage and the poison, it does not make it to this panic point. We do get the yoink. $935 health on the heart, chat. Like, this is pretty close. Not the closest game we've ever had, but this is super close. And honestly, it was looking great for bad guy. It felt as though there was some mispositioning by Urk, but I wondered, Urk's in chat, you're going to have to tell us if this was all calculated the whole time. It's okay, you can lie and say it was calculated. Down goes bad guy. Great comeback. Finnegan was so clutch. Yeah, it certainly seemed like it. That was well done. That was a pretty cool game. GG. Once more unto the Master Dark game. A tractor duel with rock play and Fornacified. This one's going back pretty far, comparatively also. So no Gravedigger opener, at least not yet, out of our hero. Let's see how bad guy responds. They, in fact, do get the Gravedigger going early. I prefer, on any map where it's Gravedigger focused, we'll say, I prefer to get the Gravedigger online as early as possible, so that way you can get the quickest possible second activation. So you get your initial break, and then it comes back faster than if you pop it out on, say, turn 2 or 3. Because obviously, you know, you just have to wait. So quick takedown on the 1 key there. I haven't been a huge fan of the jar in the castle play here. It's fine, but not fantastic, I guess. We do get a crush more, so of course you could make an argument that this is better than the Gravedigger, although it's coming online much later. So, little give and take here. Give me the power. Chuck also works wonders. Also works there. Works wonders was me adding stuff to the comment. I could definitely see it. But, I mean, that's... Alright. If I get to my 9 key, I'll be able to crap on you on a small map. Well, yes. I think that is the crux of a lot of many small map strategies. It's just, alright, don't die. Get a 9 key. Whole team get on the 9 keys back. Chuck is horrible to fight on Fornacified. I could see it. I could see it. Now, that being said, that's another point in favor, I think, of Gravedigger or ensuring that you have Terraform, because then they can't set up this wall. They can't protect it as easily. You could then try and dive it with a disease guy or something. Maybe. I don't know. I guess it depends on how the game had gone to that point. But this is a map that typically you are fighting over this center point back and forth, barring somebody, you know, going wildly out of position. So as a result, you aren't necessarily... You're not going to take a ton of heart damage ahead of time, usually. Point being is that you likely have time in order to get your other stuff up and running. Whether it's Chuck, it's a Hevo, it's a whatever. We're getting a little minefield getting constructed down here. 5 Phobies to 4, but we have 11 keys for bad guy. Only 2 for our hero. Down to 5, because it is in fact the Attractor Wars. As promised, as billed. I thought about that too, but Chuck would just sit in its castle and just zone stuff out. My thought process is that you won't have enough support enough damage to support Chuck, and since your opponent didn't spend 9 keys on a single unit, they can just sit back and win the 1 key trading war. Threatening you with Noxious or just pure damage, I'm not really sure. I could see that also being how it goes down, because that has been my experience utilizing Chuck. Like, how do you beat Chuck? You force them to come to you, is kind of how it goes down. So bad guy locks themselves out in order to, I guess, prevent a attractor play, but thereby locking out their own attractor. Now, Panic Point Advantage is in favor of Bad Guy, and will continue to be that way until this, looks like. It looks like our hero appropriately is rotating to the bottom in order to force something down there instead of trying to make the fight about the center tile. Now, that being said, this Gravedigger will come back online at some point soon, and they can break one of these and then get an attractor play. It'd be cool if Boomer had an attack but couldn't attack, so it deals death damage. What, from Dimensional? I'm sure we'll see it. Like, that's not an unreasonable thing for Dimensional to do at some point. So we get a yoink here off of the Crushmore play to snipe this Stabby here. Is this worth it? I think it probably is. It probably is. So instead of breaking the obstacle, we get the invade onto the stim here with the Gravedigger, which is interesting. So what I think they would have been better off doing... Bad Guy could have moved up, yoinked so that the jar ends up here, still kill the Murder Wing, and then possibly end up killing the jar as well, because they can move up their jar to also threaten it. So you get Murder Wing and jar. Is that going to make enough of a difference here? I don't know, because ultimately, I think it comes down to them blocking their own guys out here and playing like too defensively. Bad Guy's kind of been retreating this whole time, and it's... I don't know. Like I said, this is not a map where you typically take a ton of damage. It almost always feels like... That was kind of cool to be able to snipe that jar there, pulling the Hevo out of the way like that. It just... How often do you see a triple Panic Point advantage on this map, right? It just doesn't seem to happen very often. And it's also strange that, like, you open up your map... This always feels bad. You open up your map with Gravedigger or Crushmore, blowing up the obstacles, and then all of a sudden you have to replace them because your opponent's invading. That seems less than desirable for a variety of reasons. I imagine there's a bunch of traps from their unicorn here. How are there not more traps? I mean, realistically, I don't think it matters, but... Dead Hevo? It is, in fact, a dead Hevo. We get the revenge on a tractor, but clearly this is the end. I think Master Dark just had a lot of good heads-up plays here. Like, it wasn't necessarily a matter of, oh, Master Dark made this spectacular play that, oh my god, how could they seen that coming? Or, you know, they caught Bad Guy in this really obvious blunder and they just blew him up. It just kind of felt like incremental advantage over the game, taking what Bad Guy offered up. So Dark Soul here has submitted a lot of games as of late. This actually, against Bad Guy here, they have 2 games submitted against them. We're probably only going to get 1 in this video, but out-leveled but not outskilled, in all honesty. Probably only 1 because of a huge blunder on my opponent's side. So I don't know whether those are the notes for this game or for the other game, because they were both played on the same day against the same person. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But Xylo here is the map of choice. Or maybe not choice if it was ladder. I wonder how much Crushmore would weigh. So here's the thing. Should we get a Pokédex like, get a Pokédex like Pokemon for Phobies that has like height, weight, and all that kind of fun stuff, and like weird little quirks, little history about them? So this is looking very much like the notes from this. Whoa, that's a smiley. So the notes for the other game, which may or may not be for this game, is this was done with a special rule. There was a phobie max of 2. This means we cannot have more than 2 phobies on the board at any given time. Well, that's clearly not the case, so I only saw the first part of the notes when I looked at it the first time. I'm like, oh, well, only allowed 2 types, and it's dimensional and undead for both players or something, but that's not true. We get a smiley as the answer here, which kind of makes sense given the quantity of undead. In fact, Dark Soul allows it to connect, which is a little suspect. Sure. Ooh, we get a little Firkin action. A favorite of many as of late. We've been seeing a lot of Firkins, but Smiley ultimately goes down. And a whole bunch of damage still going down on the heart, although this baby Snakey is not long for this world. Now, both the babies, well, for a variety of reasons, both of these undead were able to leech a little bit from beating up Smiley, but ultimately, in the end, inevitably, the disease will get him. May not even take that long. So Spider's going to get tagged by this Leprechaun. And we get a Cerberus. All right, Master Dark, have a good night. Thanks for hanging out. So a lot of pressure going down onto bad guy here. Already about a little bit under half health. We gonna get the droney play? Nope, just Blinky. Blinky getting in, Blinky getting out. And we're getting a lot of... Now we're getting into weirder games, Chad. It feels like because of the recent events. Obviously, both players here desperately trying to complete the event. Although, bad guy breaks the unspoken rule, drops out an Inoculus. So, our hero could have booped the Cerberus to death, either by utilizing the Blinky or utilizing the Murder Wing to block behind it, and then you boop, and then it'll drop right in the abyss. At least I'm pretty sure it will. But now that I'm saying that, I think somebody said that the default movement when blocked directly behind like that is up. So maybe that would not be the case. That being said, you have both flyers. You could have double blocked it, but you're kind of offering them both up to die. It broke the unspoken rule of Moffat earlier. Fair. Moffat, I kind of give a pass to because it's Xylo. But if we're going to be strict about it, then yes. So high 5 coming down. Hilariously enough, the Cerberus may be a decent answer to high 5. I don't know. I'm not sure how the math would work out. But if that high 5 ends up on the stim, like, I guess all bets are off anyway. A rather bold Inoculus invasion. What? What? Why? Why did that just happen? I feel as though bad guy kind of threw in the towel. This definitely feels like, hey, let's just get this game over with. But at the same time, why is Barzilla your choice to signify that? I don't know. I got nothing. This definitely became a weird one pretty quickly, chat. This one got weird real fast. So we're going to get some cooked Murder Wing. And some eternally falling stabbies there. I don't know what the hell this Cerber... Like, what is this Cerberus doing? Jar goes down. I don't know what's happening in this game, chat. Does anybody else feel like the spines on Barzilla's back are, like, really large, like, really long? It feels like it's longer than Godzilla. I know Godzilla's spines stick out a lot. Probably more than would be quote-unquote natural. I mean, I guess a Dimetrodon has, like, that enormous sail. But it feels like, and I know Godzilla's not supposed to be a dragon, but, like, they'll have spines, but they aren't that long. I don't know. Maybe it's just me that feels that way. This ain't a quest game. I don't know what it is. I got nothing. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on in this game. This is so weird. We do ultimately get a stimmed high five again. That's a lot of damage. That's a lot of heart damage. And not a lot of heart health remaining. I don't have the words, chat. Like, this is just weird. I don't know what the hell is happening here. So we have seen several sheep win tonight. Several sheep were able to take down W's tonight. Got him. GG. Well played, Dark Soul. Here we go. Vile Vortis. We're actually on... Well, we did do a Vile Vortis game earlier tonight, but Urkevina coming back as our hero in the orange trunks here. Yoinks and debuffs go burr. All right. We got a 46... Oh, God. Here we go. 46 turn game, chat. Let's strap in. Haven't been pausing too much tonight, although, like I said earlier, most of the games have been pretty quick. The majority of the games tonight have been shorter by comparison. We haven't had too many like this. A lot of the games recently that have been submitted felt like they were more in line with this. Bad guy here either has a ton of levels or does not realize that this is a very dead snowball. Yeah, that's going to be dead snowball momentarily. It goes burr, one of the best memes. It's kind of an old meme at this point, isn't it? I feel like it's an older meme at this point. They were in fact not aware. Well, guess what? They learned today. Got him. I was saying it earlier on the other Vile Vortis game that this is why the second player response is typically this, because you just can't walk into it or you just lose your snowball. And not even, oh, well, I'll have a 4-to-1 panic point advantage by responding with the Hevo like this or something, even though it would only be for like a turn. You just lose it, and then they get the panic point. And there isn't really a good way to respond to that other than walking away as player one, so yeah, sounds like bad guy learned a hard lesson today. So the early spider is going to be annoying, but our hero does have... Well, they had that turn to kind of move around a little bit if they wanted to. The stabby was an interesting play because it's kind of slow. And obviously not great into the spider, possibly. We'll see. They had some turns where they ran out of time, I think. Could be. I mean, that one probably wasn't one of them, but... So to answer the spider yoink, we get a tractor, of course, super strong on this map. I mean, there aren't many maps where 3 rangers are bad, right? Jar gets used on basically everything. A tractor is probably very good on everything. Like, I struggle to think of a map that a tractor's bad on. as opposed to just being, okay, it's merely really good instead of super busted. A bad guy answers with their own attractor, so now we get the chain pulls. But they do have some ground to make up. Not necessarily from panic point advantage, but just kind of like general tempo. Speaking of 3 Rangers, oopsie, baby. I really do need to force debuffers more often. I really want to try this. The problem with debuffers, I think, if I were to go like a debuff-heavy strategy, not that I have Bad Omen, but say you went Bad Omen into... Well, you'd probably go Bad Omen, regular plays, oopsie baby, and then maybe bring Wooly Bully in at some point. Mix up the order or whatever. The problem is I could definitely see a scenario where, like, you're doing great until all those effects wear off, and then all of a sudden you just lose. I was about to say, that attractor has to move, or it's just dead. There will be a way for it to die. Panic point advantage still in favor of bad guy. Interestingly enough, neither player has gone for Crushmore or Gravedigger. No Terraform, which is a common ability on this map. Double 1 keys at a bad guy feel unnecessary. Like, you're just going to be trading for this one back and forth. And we're getting what I assume is the majority of the rest of the 31 turns on this game. Just kind of shuffling Phobies around as we trade out 1 keys. So our hero has 14, all of them available, whereas bad guy has 13. Without Terraform, this is a little weird, because like I said, you can't necessarily, surprise I yoink your whole team. So all the plays are on the board, so to speak. Ooh, we get a Brony. That's a stalemate breaker. On this map, Brony gets really weird, but definitely a cool idea. So the cassowary goes in to cap this point, which is interesting because, of course, it's going to die. Could have gone to the 1-key trading war, but the Quagmire does make it a 4-to-1 panic point advantage, so now bad guy who's out of keys has to invest effort in reclaiming 2 different places. So they're appropriately swinging Hevo to the top since it was open, and with the Brony back up and the attractor means that our hero can't necessarily make something happen here. Yet. Yeah, it doesn't look... Yeah, they're not going to have enough damage to really off something, even with a yoink. I mean, the Stabby and the Oopsie Baby are pretty slow. Oof, that hurts. Can't quite one-shot the AWOL. Can't quite one-shot the 8-wall. But we do get a Graylien and Urk Classic. We got double yoink against double yoink. Underleveled Oopsie and Attractor. I mean, if the Attractor's okay if it's underleveled. Oopsie's a little bit more of a problem if it's underleveled. Level 5, oh wow. Yeah, when we're talking everything else in double digits, that's a pretty significant gap. Level 5 Oopsie baby. So this is interesting, matching the Brony to the poles, because obviously the poles are primarily there for their ability, although, you know, the damage output doesn't hurt. Is that a dead Hevo? Possibly could have been a dead spider, too. Probably not. Probably not enough damage to actually delete it. But now the real Phobies are going in. Not that Cassowary isn't, but... Snowball has to sacrifice itself for the team. Quagmire's still hanging out here on the bottom tile. But our hero still has 2 keys. Granted, there's not a whole lot that... You know, not too many game-changing things at 2 at this stage in the game, anyway. So, hightailing it out with the Quagmire makes sense, otherwise you risk some yoinks being very nasty. Although I don't know the bad guy would have the damage to really do much of anything. It would have been 2 hits from regular Gin Sting, probably 1 from Hematic, and then the pole would be down. Which is like... It's okay, I guess. I guess you could move the regular Gin Sting... Get 2... Well, yeah, I take that back. So, you move the Gin Sting, move the spider up, yoink with the spider, you get 2 hits with Hematic, a hit with Gin Sting, the yoink, the lava damage, and 2 hits from a tractor. I don't know that that kills it, but it would still hurt it. It would put a big hurt on the Quagmire, because this is a... It's a level 10. It's 27. It would have been 11... Say 5, 16. 8 is 24. 27. Actually, this might have been dead. Yeah, this is definitely dead because of the lava. It had to move. Never mind. Never mind. I was overestimating the health on that Quagmire. So the real chess match here, I guess, just kind of continually rotating and threatening things across the board. A little surprising that we haven't gotten the Brony going in yet, but I think bad guys so low on forces that they're concerned about risking it. This makes no sense. This is just a dead Gin Sting, isn't it? The only way this makes sense is that they want a Brony. They ran out of time here, I'm pretty sure. So we're going to get the Brony snipe. The Graylion's probably dead, but it will displace something. I probably would have kept... Like, did you have to pull here? Probably, right? Because otherwise the stabby doesn't have enough... Like, you don't have the stabby damage, so then you don't have enough. You had to pull? Okay. Because otherwise you could threaten the attractor going in and getting another yoink, but there's really no scenario in which it would have. So the Graylian goes down. Ultimately, it's a even key trade when you think about it. You don't really have to think about it very hard. It's a 7 key for a 7 key, but, you know. 1 key remaining for our hero. The other one went into that Contortio that you see on the board. I can see where Oopsie Baby starts to take over this game, as was indicated in chat earlier, because as you get lower on the phobie count, these debuffs do kind of count for more, because it's a larger percentage of your damage output is being consumed by the damage debuff. Alright, we get the invading yoink. Little more bees action. Into bees. An attractor goes down. That is the target. But the spider was slightly out of range, so no help with a yoink, no help with an attack. So the stabby ends up tanking through. And phobies don't have reduced damage when they're damaged. You may or may not have known that. Counterkill on the enemy attractor. Squash the bug. Get some repositioning from the Quagmire, and just like that, our hero has a body advantage and a panic point advantage. And one of those bodies is dimensional, so it's going to make life even more complicated for bad guy here. You get a Ginsting trade there, which is something. But even this Hevo and Hematic, they don't have as much health as you might think at this point. We haven't gotten a Kerbloom game in a long time. Just because we had like 5 of them earlier tonight. So we do get the power down on Ginsting. Hematic, that is. Which is going to go a long way towards keeping Quagmire alive. Long way towards keeping Quagmire alive. I wonder how much... Like, there's a lot of synergy between Alligator and Quagmire as well as the damage debuffers. I wonder if that's a reasonable small map game plan, right? Like, say you have Bad Omen and Woolly Bully and then Quagmire. That's probably pretty reasonable to set up, right? Well, I guess it's going to take some doing, but it's not out of the question to get, what, like 12 keys? That doesn't seem crazy. And it would give you a fairly decent invade force, because you could push with the Bad Omen, power down any clumped units. The Woolly Bully can reach things that are trying to hide, and then the Quagmire is so tanky in conjunction with its healing that it's now almost literally immortal. I might be overthinking this too much and be like trying to be too cute about it. On a bigger map, I think you would want to introduce Oopsie Baby and possibly Alligator, but I don't know if... That's a very slow marching team overall, I think. Get another power down going. This is a long time where this Ginsting is doing not a lot. It's just not doing a whole hell of a lot. And it allows Quagmire to be pretty bold. Just get up in the Ginsting's face here. Bad guy making every effort to salvage things, but let's be real. Urk has got this one. In one more turn. In one more turn. GG, Oopsie Baby does him in. Well played. Good job there, Urk. Alright, so last game for the evening. We're on Crypto. Renamon here, submitting the game. Our hero. Oh, you're approaching me? Alright, let's see what they got. This is a map, since we were talking about map tiers earlier, this is in my dumpster fire tier. I really don't like this map. And I wonder how... This is probably the poster child for this of... Do I hate this map because we've had it for so long? You know, we've had this map for a year. A lot of the strategies are defined for the most part. I don't think any of the new Phobies materially change it. And most of the strategies feel super dumb. The game name quotes bonus point if you get the reference. What, for your notes, you mean? Hey, Ando, what's good? So I assume this was another event game because... What is happening here? What is happening? Bad guy being, like, hyper-aggressive here, if you want to call it that. Like, I don't... We got to come up with a term for this one because I don't feel like this is aggression, chat. This is just like being insane. Why are you diving this hard? Now, that being said, bad guy is putting on a lot of pressure, but his pressure probably ends this turn. Really? Okay, if they had killed the Blinky, maybe. But, like, sure. Down goes Murderwing. Cassowary's going to follow shortly. Wow, a Droney? Lul. After the dust settles, 2725 on the heart to a pristine 6800. But clearly our hero is in the driver's seat from this point. Massive, massive Phobie advantage. Some of them will go away in the process of recapping points, but okay, you got me. Droney assassination? Droney assassination. Got him. Wiggy, putting in work. What level is said Wiggy? Twiggy is a level 4. The only drawback here is this Innocuous has its pick of the litter to snipe. Well, I guess not really, because it kind of had to target the Wiggy. Ooh, we got a creepy devil, chat. So I'm not going to lie, chat. The most disappointing thing about this Phobie, besides its name, because its name is just terrible. Like, it is a rare miss, but this is a miss. Is this thing was a warthog to me in the art. It looked like a warthog until I saw the face on what was originally in my head, the warthog's snout. And now I can't unsee the face. So now it just doesn't look as cool. It was much cooler when it was like a demon warthog. So I'm not going to lie, chat. If we get something cool with Creepy Devil here, that might become the thumbnail for the video simply because stuff showcasing the new Phobies gets more views, basically, on the thumbnails, which is stupid, but it is. Now, look at that. Look at that, chat. This might have to be the thumbnail kind of thing. It is pretty cool. What level is this, anyway? Level 1. So, I think Bad Guy was just kind of showing off here. I see the face, and now I can't unsee it. I'm telling you, it was so much cooler as, like, a monster warthog. Creepy Devil be like, let me be clear here. You don't see the face on Creepy Devil? Here, I'm going to ruin Creepy Devil for you. These are the eyes. This is a nose. There's the mouth. And the rest of it, it's just like, it's leaning forward. You know what I mean? Like its neck joint is kind of like coming out of its chest. In the meantime, we're getting a Droney assassination here. That might actually be, like, I might actually make that the thumbnail tagline. Let me be clear here. Like, make this the thumbnail, and then Creepy Devil is let me be clear here as the... Like, that's actually, I like that a lot. That's really good. We haven't been paying attention to this game at all. At least not in... Did the Creepy Devil do nothing? Did it go invisible and then just decloak on its own? He uses saliva as his own pomade. What if he's a Dapper Dan, man? Shout out to Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Quagmire, final phobie from our hero. Oh, he did kill a primate? This is how little... I'm sorry, Renamon. This is, like... Your opponent, I don't know what the hell they were doing in the beginning of the game. And then we got sidetracked talking about undead warthogs and hair gel for Creepy Devil. And, yeah, I got distracted. I didn't even see the primate on the board. I'm not gonna lie. I've never seen Creepy Devil's attack animation before, even though this is the first time I've seen it. This is another invisible joke. That's kind of cool, I guess. I don't know. I feel like Creepy Devil's kind of a miss overall. GG. GG. Not bad tonight, chat. This attack animation looks like when a cartoon character's getting a fight. It does. It looks like the Tasmanian Devil showed up, started a cyclone, everybody gets sucked in, and like you see a random arm or a leg like pop out of the cyclone for a minute. That's kind of what it looks like. But I appreciate everybody coming out. Definitely a lot of fun tonight. We'll be back tomorrow for variety, and we'll be back at the end of the week for, you know, some more Phobies action. We do have Fright Night number 6 coming up. I'm tentatively planning for the end of this month, end of April, which is the weekend of the 22nd, 23rd. Game plan is to have a top cut, so day 1 will be Swiss rounds, day 2 will be top cut. Mark your calendars if you're interested. Check out the links in the description for more details. But that's going to do it for tonight, everyone. So as always, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and Black Lives Matter.